In the Mortal Kombat series, everyone has a signature weapon to stand out. Kenshi has a sword, Ermac with his souls, and Katana with the fans. To survive in the Mortal Kombat tournament, you need to upgrade your punching power. Enter Major Jax Briggs, better known as Jax. He is a cybernetically enhanced soldier who is the leader of the Outer World Investigation Agency, or OIA, Earthrealm Special Forces Unit. Due to a freak accident, depending on whatever timeline you look at, his arms were replaced with cybernetic prosthetics meant to beat people into a pulp. Today, we're going to rank all 16 of Jax's finishers from the worst to the best. Fight! Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. My name is Nick, and welcome to, or welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, gotcha grab that subscribe button to join the Whack Pack today, and to stay tuned for more Mortal content. Today, we'll be looking at Jax, the Special Forces Major and a fighter well armed for combat. Originally meant to be a kickboxer, but scrapped to avoid being similar to characters like Dudley and Balrog from the Street Fighter series. Instead, he was a military fighter partnered with Sonya Blade. With his upgraded arms, he'd been pretty creative with his finishers, each being based on its creativity, pacing, impact on the franchise, and personality. Here are the rules for the decorated Major. Rule number 1, brutalities, stage fatalities, and mortalities will not be included in this list. Rule number 2, fatalities from Mortal Kombat Armageddon won't count in this list either. And rule number 3, recreated fatalities will count as their own entry in this list. As mentioned in previous episodes, many games do something different with classic finishers, for better or for worse, and each will count as its own on this list. An example, Jax ripped several arms off of people to make an army of unarmed combatants, so each will be ranked differently. With those rules established, grab your cyber arms, load up your grenade launcher, and light up a stogie, note that I do not condone the act of smoking, as we rank all 16 of Jax's finishers across every game he's appeared in. Number 16. Let's start things off by looking at Jax's second playable appearance with Mortal Kombat 3. When previously covered in this series, the finishers are either less impactful versions of the previous game or they went for a goofy approach. While I had hoped for a revamped head clap or arm rip, we were instead presented with a goofy and strange finisher. Jax wins. Stopping its way to the bottom of the list is Foot Stomp from Mortal Kombat 3. Throughout Mortal Kombat 3, we've seen many wacky and weird finishers, but this one takes the cake. How did Jax grow to become the size of a kaiju? How did he get this power? I don't know. Sure, this was referenced as a brutality in Mortal Kombat 11, but it's just so absurd and ridiculous. This is also just a finisher I've never liked. This has to be Jax's worst finisher in the entire series. Number 15. From one absurd finisher to another, we move on to Mortal Kombat vs. DC. With the mandated teen rating, finishers involving dismemberment were unable to be recreated, which includes Jax's iconic arm rip finisher. As a substitute, we were given some weird 80s action movie logic as a finisher. Moving on to number 16 is the Air Machine Gun. This is another one of those finishers that lacked impact. The one part at least feels like a Jax finisher is the Super Punch. Besides Deadly Alliance, Jax doesn't really use guns, so it's kinda weird to see a finisher resort to eliminating someone like Warzone. For anyone looking for a great finisher for Jax, their expectations were just shot down. Number 14. Speaking of mentioning Deadly Alliance, Mortal Kombat 5 is the next title we'll be looking at. I've criticized this game for its issues with the finishers. Whether it's from not fitting the character or the presentation, I've stated it. Though we have many few diamonds in the rough, Head Stomp isn't one of them. Jax wins. Taking the 14th spot is Head Stomp. While this is one of the bloodier finishers in the whole game, and a finisher sticking to the theme of head pops, it doesn't feel too much like a Jax finisher. In all honesty, I feel either Goro or Kentaro would have pulled this off. Besides the stomp, there isn't a whole lot that makes us feel like Jax, besides the self-motivation to crush a head like a watermelon. A stomping good time this is not. Number 13. After all this time, we're finally looking at the first of the 3 MKX finishers for this list. The remade finishers for this game had loads of potential to add some flair to a classic finisher. However, this finisher feels like it's lacking the most.
Jax wins. Fatality.
At 13, we've got the Arm Rip Remake, one of the more underwhelming finishers on this list. Though it's cool the opponent does a long scream like the original title, the opponent seems to oddly brush it off like a flesh wound. I'd rather see it updated by having the opponent run around a bit before falling over instead of looking like they received news that their goldfish died. Pretty underwhelming. Number 12. Let's revisit Mortal Kombat 3 for Jax's second finisher, with the first one being an extremely absurd finisher by treating the opponent like a spider. This second one at least is cheeky with the reference it makes.
Jax wins.
Slicing in at number 12 is Robert Patrick's favorite finisher, the T2 Slice. A clear nod to the T-1000 from Terminator 2, which was popular at the time. Though it's cool to see this referenced, Jax never does anything like this in future titles, which is just a bit strange. Over time, this would feel more like a Baraka fatality instead. Though it's nice, it doesn't cut its way into the top 10. Number 11. Dash punching our way into Mortal Kombat X for his second finisher. With the first one being a bit underwhelming, what does the second one bring to the table? Let's reach in, and sorry for the pun in advance. Mangling our way like a head with ribs in it, we've got Jax the Ribber. A finisher cool in concept, but it feels like it was performed by the wrong character. I do think it's brutal and unique, but I think his arch nemesis, Kano, would have been a better fit for the ribcage slaughter finisher. It fits his MO better by ripping stuff out of the opponent, but that's just me. Overall, this isn't bad, but a case of not fitting the character. Number 10. Turning the page back into the comic book crossover for our 10th spot. With the first one being an odd finisher with little impact and oomph, this next one recreates a classic with a hilarious alteration. Taking the 10th spot is the PG-13 version of Head Clap from MK vs. DC. Since the head isn't allowed to explode in a teen-rated game, the team instead looked towards something like Looney Tunes for this finisher. Clapping the head to pancake it is honestly pretty funny, despite the major toning down of the original finisher. This finisher comes off as more of the most memorable finishers in MK vs. DC for all the mixed reasons. Number 9. After all this time, we're finally looking at Jax's first playable appearance with Mortal Kombat 2. Originally meant to be a kickboxer and planned to appear in MK1, Jax makes his debut as a Special Forces powerhouse who specializes in grappling. With that, we're given an innovative finisher for the time. Ripping into number 9 is Arm Rip. I found this finisher to be pretty unique. Having the arms ripped clean off and having the opponent look at the screen is pretty innovative. I do think the finisher was improved in the other title, but this one still has a nice impact. Number 8. Speaking of unarming the opponent, we're looking into our next finisher from Mortal Kombat 4. Several of these finishers were 3D remakes of classics with much to be desired. However, I found one of the remakes to be an improvement over the classic. We're ripping into number 8 with the Arm Rip 3D Remake. Although similar to the MK2 variant, this one does two different beats in its presentation that place it higher for me. Stepping on the shoulder to pull each arm off one at a time and the opponent flailing in pain are great additions to improve it. Like the bones in the arms, this one is humorous and effective. Number 7. Inserting 2 coins and revisiting Mortal Kombat 2. With the first finisher teaching someone how to unarm them for combat, this next one demonstrates how to pop a head in one easy step. Clapping our way into the 7th spot is Head Clap. Redundancy months redundant. One of the more iconic Jax finishers. Simply clapping the head is just a cool finisher. This finisher was so cool that it was actually referenced in both Jax's Fatal Blow, and it was a finisher adapted in the rebooted Mortal Kombat movie. It's a finisher with a legacy. Number 6. Continuing this list by checking out Jax's second finisher from Mortal Kombat 4. With the first finisher being a good adaptation of the arm rip with some additions, this finisher also improves with one simple change. Taking the 6th spot is the 3D remake of the Head Clap. Don't get me wrong, the first finisher was great and impactful, but I feel this one just nudges over the original. With the purple energy surging through his arms, it comes off as a bit more impactful once the hands start to clap. A great finisher to me. Number 5. Entering the top 5 by visiting the beloved Mortal Kombat Reboot. This game was a smash hit when it released nearly 11 years ago, getting praise for its combat system, presentation, and fatalities. With the modernization of classic finishers, this is a good one, but it has one minor flaw. At number 5, we've got Smash and Grab, which is a fusion of both the head clap and the arm rip finishers from MK2. With the addition of the slow-mo, adding some cinematic flair, the head pop-off comes off as super impactful. However, wouldn't it be cooler if the arms were ripped off first and then having the heads clap second, maybe by the ripped arms itself? That would make the pacing come off better, in my opinion. Overall, it's a great fusion finisher that deserves an applause. Number 4. Headed into the 4th spot comes from the final finisher from Mortal Kombat X. With the first two being either a recreation or an original finisher, this next one harks back to his emphasis on the opponent's arms with a twist. Taking the 4th spot is T-Rex. Instead of ripping the arms off, Jax shoves them into their chest, faster than a kid hiding their DS under a pillow before their parent caught them not sleeping. Also, the addition of turning the head into an ashtray is nice and is something that fits the modernized Jax perfectly. Like the opponent's head, snap back and appreciate this finisher. Number 3. Let's check out the second of Jax's finishers from the amazing Reboot. With the first being a good take of the classic finishers, this original finisher reminds me of another legacy character, but executed right.
Jax wins.
Taking the bronze medal is 3 points. Inspired by Shiva's MK3 finisher by smashing the opponent into the ground, but with the addition of the punt kick. The nuance I love is the first kick busting the face and the second one sending the head airborne. Like a good field goal kick, this finisher's good. Number 2. Our runner-up for the best Jax finisher comes from his latest appearance, Mortal Kombat 11. With the game introducing a new feature, being the heated arms, it was nice to see this implemented as a finisher in the latest title. Taking the silver medal is Coming In Hot, also known as the Power Clothesline. Strapping in an explosive device then having the opponent fly into Jax's arm is super creative and innovative. It takes advantage of a new feature that is a standout finisher, but I do not think it is Jax's best finisher. Number 1. Coming in at number 1 comes from Mortal Kombat 11, where I liked the first finisher from this game, trying something new with Jax's arms. This one innovated a classic with a great addition.
Fatality. Jax wins.
Our top spot goes to Still Got It. This finisher is a perfect blend of mixing a classic finisher with some sprinkles of personality put into it. Yanking off the arm, harking back to his classic arm rip, Smacking the head and giving it a good ol' home run hit would have Barry Bonds checking him for PEDs. The beats and cinematic angles help this stand out for a Jax finisher as well. It's a great finisher and one of my favorites in this whole game. With these factors, this is what makes this the #1 Jax finisher of all time. And that's my list of all 16 Jax finishers ranked from worst to best. Which finishers are your favorite and which ones are your least favorite? Comment down below and I'll surely get back to you. Remember that my list isn't the right list, it's just mine and I'd love to hear yours too. So let's respect one another down there. Consider dropping a like on this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe as I post every other Monday. You are all so amazing and supportive, I can't thank you all enough. I really hope this content filter isn't too much of an issue for you all, and I hope that you understand. I've been listening to your feedback on characters to cover, and more fan favorites are coming, so please stay tuned. But first, let's set the stage for the next compilation finisher list. As always, thank you very much for checking out this video. My name is Nick, and have an amazing day.